Hi everyone. So today I'm going to be showing you how to replace the fan clutch on a 1999 Jeep Wrangler. This is the 4.0 6-cylinder engine. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so to get started, you're going to need to drain everything out of the cooling system. So down here is the petcock for your radiator. You'll need to drain it. You just get some old buckets. You'll need to look at your local ordinances and laws on how to dispose of this if you are replacing it. So I will measure out how much I get out of this. Mine isn't going to be accurate because I lost a decent amount of cooling fluid when my radiator exploded. So I don't really know how much you'll be able to drain out of this. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started on draining. So while that's draining there, so I just have it set up to catch, might as well start working up here. So mine is split open, so obviously I have airflow. You might want to take your cap off, will help drain it, release some of the pressure so it'll actually drain. You might also squeeze this to try to get whatever fluid is in there out, so it doesn't drip everywhere. Next, I'm going to get my overflow tank off. I have a new radiator, so I'm just going to clip this. You might have a metal bracket or one of those ones that you can pinch with pliers. I just have a zip tie. I'm going to disconnect that. As you can see, it looks like it just pops right off. You can kind of see there's a little bit of a nub right there. So you just have to pop that through. Then at the bottom, it's another one of these little notches. So go ahead and take your overflow tank off next. So with my overflow tank off, which you'll want to rinse that out, and then I'm going to clean it too. Next, you'll want to get the fan shroud off right here, and there are 4 bolts, and they are all 7/16. So you can see there's one here. It's really hard to see, but basically it's down here is another one, and then there's 2 on this side as well, right here. And it's a little, sorry, my hands are too big, but there's a 4th one down there. So go ahead and get those 4 bolts off next so you can get the fan shroud off. So you could definitely do this part before you do the fan shroud, as long as you released enough of the coolant, so it's not going to be an issue in here. But you need to take this upper radiator hose off. Probably would have made it easier, at least on these 2 bolts here. So I'm going to remove the entire thing. You really just have to remove this side if you're not going to replace this. I am. And I think it's a good idea. They're fairly cheap, and you're already tearing everything apart. It's probably worth it. You can see mine are a little flathead, or what is this, 5/16. Basically, you just loosen these, and then you'll move this clamp over, and that's probably not loose enough. But what you can do, if this hose is stuck on, you can either, see mine was a quick, easy break, which is nice, or you can take some channel locks and very lightly grip onto here to try to break that seal. Sometimes this works if it's further down and you don't have room to get your hand in there, to get some channel locks right on there and break that seal. If worse comes to worse, I've done this before, but if you're going to reuse the hose, this isn't the best idea because you run the risk of tearing your hose. But basically, you can pry a flathead under there and break the seal this way and just pop it up. So go ahead and remove this top radiator hose next. So next, you'll want to take off these 4 bolts here around the post of the fan clutch. They are 1/2 inch bolts here. There's 4 of them. It's pretty hard to get to. You'll need a wrench. I have a 5-sided. Sometimes you can get these enclosed, but 6-sided is best. I have a bunch of 12 points. There's a lot of argument to be made there, but you'll need to get those 4 bolts off next. A little tidbit, this fan because of how it's balanced, you could see some of these blades, you have a much bigger gap between them. Use that to your advantage. You have a lot more room to get in here if you use that big gap. So I already got a couple of bolts off before I realized that. So use that to your advantage. You can see there's a bigger gap there, but these are closer. That's just how this fan is balanced. It's supposed to be like that. But yeah, go ahead and get those bolts off. So with that, the fan clutch just pops right off. The whole fan comes out along with the fan shroud. If you're just replacing the fan clutch, I mean, normally, if you're going to replace it, a lot of times you're replacing other stuff to go with it. It's kind of one of those, it's so cheap, you might as well replace it if you're replacing everything else. If you're having overheating issues, that could be one reason that you need to replace the fan clutch. Typically at sitting, you know, when you're idling, that's when you would notice issues with that. So it's real easy if you're just going to keep this fan, which there's almost never a reason to replace this unless it's all dinged up. Even though mine's old and dirty, it's moving air just fine. So you'll just remove these four, they're half-inch bolts, and then bolt this back onto that, and then put everything back how it was. So, putting the fan clutch and fan shroud back on, you just install it back on, put those bolts back on, hand tighten all of them. If you put in a new radiator like me, you might have issues if you're using a new bracket, like mine came with a new one. Not all of the fan shroud bolts lined up, so you might need to either cut a hole through the fan shroud or cut a hole through your new bracket. So one tip that has taken me a little bit to figure out here is, so those are 1/2 inch bolts on there. Once you get to a certain point, it starts sliding under the serpentine belt. Even though I loosened it for other projects and tightened it back up, it's still slipping. So what I've been doing is I've been taking a flathead and basically just giving myself leverage right here against a different bolt, and then I tighten this one, and that helps me get the last little bit on there. So anyways, go ahead and tighten all 4 of those up. And if you need to redo the radiator, you can watch some of my other videos on instructions on that. But anyways, that is how you remove and replace the fan clutch on a 1999 Jeep Wrangler. Again, this is the 4.0 liter 6-cylinder with automatic transmission. So hopefully this was helpful, and thanks for watching.